I'm going to keep this short, brief, sweet, simple, especially since right about now, I would kind of like to go and talk to my friends and chill with them for a while. So I'm going to keep this video short. Octopath Traveler 0 was a disappointment. So much so that I didn't finish the entire game. I managed to get all the way to maybe halfway, if not a little bit more than halfway through the epilogue, before I was just sick and fed up with the game. The thing is that when it comes down to it, this game has some neat ideas. It tries to do some fixes to the Octopath Traveler game's only real issues. But the problem is that instead of trying to just do fixes that are actually substantial and will actually be a benefit in the long term, they decided to do a rebooting of the first game. What? Wait, what? Wait, no, what? That makes no sense on any fundamental level. Not from a game enjoyer, not from a game designer, not from a game producer. It makes no sense on any aspect of game industry to go from we made one mistake, let's erase everything and start over. That is insane. That is the equivalency of being dumped and said, okay, well, I'm going to rock off a bridge now over this person I never knew. Whee! It's mental. It's insane. I processed it. I had all this time to try and process it, to try and figure out what could possibly be their logic to just, fuck it, hit the reset button. I got nothing. I have nothing. I can't think of a single reason what made them think doing a hard reset of everything was a good idea, or a beneficial idea, or a productive idea, or a financially sane idea. There was no real point in it. Like, if this was Dragon Age Veilguard, okay, fine, yeah, burn everything, start from scratch, go back to your first game, and pretend you know what you're doing now, okay? Like, there, I get it. Burn, start over, rebuild. Here, you only made one mistake in one game. And even then, the mistake wasn't necessarily so bad to the point of justifying deleting everything and starting over. And I do say starting over in a very literal sense. The new classes that were added on Octopath 2, gone. Yeah, those are all gone. Now you only have the classes from the first game. The fuck? Why? As if that's not enough, in my opinion, that's definitely enough to issue a lot of confusion and the question of being why thrown around a lot. But that's not the end of it somehow. Really? That's not the end of it. They tried so hard to fix the past two games' biggest problem of where these characters never really feel properly connected. They all kind of feel like strangers who are 5 feet away from each other from beginning to end. They try to fix that here by making it so now there's this secondary objective, this secondary goal that the other characters have that is technically your primary goal. The rebuilding of your hometown. Bringing it back to what it once was. Maybe even trying to make it better than it once was even. Which is a great idea, except it sucks dick and is halfway thought through. And half developed even, honestly. Because all it is filler. Not like enjoyable filler. Not like the kind of filler where it kind of helps you enjoy the experience or explains some stuff happening amongst the story. No. We're talking the kind of filler that Naruto and Naruto Shippuden and Boruto would all say, why didn't you axe that shit? Why is that here? At all. I want you to think of the most infamous show, TV, book, anything you can think of that is renowned and infamous for its crap filler. I'd rather rewatch or reread all of them. I can never believe that I ever complained about any other show having filler, because that's pretty much 90% of this game is filler. Garbage filler. The few moments where there's not just this empty filler bullshit is so low and weak. Honestly, the most fun I had in the game was when I stopped playing it. Wow. That's quite the fuck up, since I myself am still very much addicted to turn-based games and still like strategy games. I still like playing games that are, okay, not action-paced. I like playing games that are turn-based, slower, more thought. And and yet, here's a game that I should be the easiest sell for. It's good looking. It is a turn-based game, but it's also not trying to be a 90s type at first. Until you start getting into stuff like the way the game is balanced and how restrictive the game is. Once you get into that, yeah, it's pretty much a 90s game example of what not to do. Yeah. Even if you're crazy crackhead, I've obsessed over levels and getting strong as shit. You know those old things that happen in countless other games where you're led to believe you can actually do something here and change the possible narrative by, instead of getting beat by doing the beating, but only so you can find out that it was scripted later after you put in all the effort and time? Yeah, that's here. Often. In fact, honestly, that's the majority of the game in every single way. It's just an example of, honestly, some things that honestly should have been excised like a freaking tumor long ago, but are still here unwantedly. Now, sure, they didn't charge the full $70 for this game. Normally, I would factor that in and give some praise there. But when your game is just hollow of the things it needs to do in order to make up for a huge disappointment, what do I have here to recommend it to anyone? I couldn't get myself to finish the epilogue, and normally, that's not a big issue for me normally. But when it's this blatantly just bleh, blandly middle, to the point of where, honestly, it comes across as kind of a dig to anyone who's actually been a fan of turn-based games at times. Yes, it's that blatant with it at times. It's just nothing here that I can say, this is why you should get it, even at its current pricing. Even if they reduced it by half, I don't really have a reason or justification or a thing I can grasp onto to recommend it to anyone, really. Sure, they added in a character creator who never speaks, but at least it's there, right? Well, problem is, though, it's pretty shitty, pretty limited. And again, there's nothing here that you haven't already experienced. Nothing. Giant, fat goose egg. They added in this whole being able to build your city, touted as you'll be able to build your city how you want. That's a lie. That is an absolute bullshit lie. That's the kind of lie that gets people into some legal trouble fast and hard. Because no, you cannot. What you can do is place the specific stuff in the specific places, in specific segments that you unlock as you level up the town. And even then, you can only pick specific things unless it's a decoration. Decorations are the only way you can actually make the town your own. Every other minute facet of it, though, is so heavily restrictive and limited to the point where its only thing it really touted repeatedly the most in marketing is not even true. Literally, the moment you start it, you have only one building you could put in one tiny square. Place that building in that square. What's that? You want it farther out? You want it more in the middle? No, too bad. It goes right here in this tiny little square box here. You get access to a house. Okay, you get access to this one house. You can place it in this same tiny box here. What's that? You want to remove all the shrubbery and the debris so this way the place doesn't look like shit? Well, too bad. You have to wait until specific conditions are met. Then you can remove some of the shrubbery. Not all the shrubbery. Not shrubbery in different segments of the area. No. You can only deal with the shrubbery in the specified box it gives you. And even then, it's limited to specific shrubbery. Does that sound like I'm building a town how I want to you? Because if so, go get a dictionary, because this is literally the opposite of that. I'm not building a town the way I want, and honestly, what little I can decide on is super limited and restrictive. So it's still not what I want, even when I try to make it what I want. Plus, decorating the thing is a tedious shithole. If you want to make it so that the buildings aren't all the exact same look throughout the entire town. Guess what? You're fucked until you reach a certain point. Far, far, far too many goddamn hours later. Okay? Quite genuinely, by level 6, I still wasn't getting to even adjust or do anything with more than half. More than half of my town was still a wreck shithole with no way for me to fix it or adjust it or make anything better. It honestly drove me nuts because I would put in so many hours. I put in, out of the 180 hours I put into this motherfucker, I'm going to tell you right now, more than 90 of those hours was me grinding and grinding so I try and do some shit with this stupid city. I'm not going to lie, by the end of it, I just said fuck Wishvale. Let it burn. Let it stay dead. Let it be a ruin. Fuck it. That's my reaction because of how much of a tedious shithole it was. And then adding in all the narrative issues, the pacing issues, the balancing issues, I felt like I was playing an example of what not to do. The only ones, honestly, involved in this project who did their jobs properly and good are quite literally limited to the people in charge of the art and the people in charge of the music. Everyone else, though, god damn, how'd you get your job? Wow, you must have fucked the owner real good. Damn. It's almost laughable, if not almost outright pathetic. Why should I recommend this to someone when honestly, there's nothing here to recommend? There isn't. Why should I recommend this to you when I can go recommend, honestly, the first one and you'll have a better time, even though there is the issue of these characters all being complete strangers to each other, even though they've been fighting to death by each other's side the whole game. What do I have here to work with? And that's kind of the part that frustrates me most, is because this is one of the only 2 games within all of the friggin' past year that I was looking forward to, within all of 2025. Only 2 games I was looking forward to, and they both suck dick. And they're both disappointing to hell and back. But what's worse is I also know that there are going to be plenty of people who bullshit and lie and say that 2025 was the best year in gaming, as they do every time, conveniently ignoring all the fuck-ups that far, far outweigh and outnumber the numbers of good games that appeared. Just like the year before that, and honestly, years before that. It's kind of one of the biggest problems with many people in games journalists is that they don't want to acknowledge the mistakes or the bad things. They don't want to acknowledge that there are things that need to be fixed or problems that are happening. They would rather turn their eye and say, no, everything's golden. We've had the best year in gaming, the best year in gaming, best year in gaming, best year in gaming. Really? Then why are there so many games that suck dick? Why are there so many games that have failed? Why are there so many companies who are firing people en masse? It's because everything is not fine. It's not because of that at all. It's because there's shit wrong, and it seems like too few people give a shit. Honestly, there are times where I feel like I'm the only one who gives an actual flying fuck about game industry at times. I know that it's incorrect. I know that in my soul. But how many people do I really see actually point out, hey, we need to fix some stuff? Because I'm going to tell you right now, some people are going the whole other direction and they're still wrong. Okay? There are some who are acting like there's nothing wrong, and then there's the other side who are acting like nothing can be salvaged. Both sides are wrong, objectively. We can still fix things. We can still salvage things. The problem is, though, is that there are too many people going to the farthest ends of the extreme without a single thought through their skull on what that actually does, on what the impact of that is. The facts are, is when you act like a radical nutcase, people like myself who are not saying things can never be fixed or saying that nothing is wrong, people like myself who are trying our best to get things fixed, not by threats, not by anything stupid as just buying things blindly, but pointing out, hey, here's what's wrong. We know you can do better. We know you got this. Keep trying. People like me aren't really actually trying to threaten anyone, despite the fact that we might seem that way because of our passion or our love for game industry and gaming. Ultimately, we're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to make it clear that there are some problems. You can fix them. Nothing's gotten so bad to the point where this can't be fixed. But we get shut out and accused of being radicals because of, well, the radicals. The thing is that the reason why people like me are passionate, seem angry, seem upset, has nothing to do with the psychos leaving threats or the people trying to pretend there's nothing wrong. We are actually the middle ground. We are trying to communicate, but we're getting ignored, which causes us to get frustrated. Because we, people like myself, love gaming. And we don't want to see it marred, or worse, come undone. We want gaming to still be around for countless generations more. But we want to see it there healthily and without it being at risk from the inside. I know it doesn't seem like that, and I don't blame you if you think that the anger is just because of hate or malice, when it isn't. It's because of sadness, love. It's because of the knowledge that if something isn't fixed, the thing that we cherish and wish to hand down to our own kids might not be there anymore. That's kind of the real issue at heart here. A lot of the, not all, of course, but far more than people sometimes like to even acknowledge is the reason why someone's upset and seems angry and passionate has nothing to do with anger, truly. More often than not, it has everything to do with sadness. This feeling that something you love is being corrupted, twisted, put in danger of not being around. It's a feeling of possibility of loss. We seem passionate and angry to you because of that. Because for us, for people like myself, the idea of gaming just being eradicated, either because of industry mistakes or because of other people and their radical bullshit, is a saddening and a heartbreaking thought. We don't want to see gaming gone. No one in my position or like me wants that at the end of the day. That's the last thing we want. That is the drop dead last thing we want. Okay? What we actually want is to help fix things before we lose the thing we love. That's ultimately the truth. Review / blabbing like an idiot is now done. You are all now safe to run for your lives. See ya.